extraordinaire, the gemologist.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Gemologist Presents. Welcome back to RPGaDay 2023. In today's podcast, we'll talk about my responses to the prompts from days 11 to 13. First, however, we have a call from Jason Connolly. I'll answer that and then get to the prompts.
Carry on, my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
Hey Carl, just listened to your latest episode on RPGaDay. Great episode. And you talk about skills and having enough skills and how a lot of modern day games truncate the skills. I really like what Barbarians of Lemuria does, where you have the skills related to a profession and you're considered proficient in all those. And I think that's a good way to do it. It depends how much detail you want, of course. My problem with big skill lists is that you tend not to be able to create a realistic character. And I totally understand what you're saying, where if you only have a few skills, they're not specific enough. But at the same time, when you have these big games of big lists, and especially point-buy games, characters never end up feeling realistic. They end up being specialized in a handful of skills or not very good at a variety of skills, but they never seem to be as well-rounded as, most humans really are. Can you create yourself in your favorite system at a reasonable power level? I think that's a good way to look at it and see when we're looking at skills. One thing I found interesting was I recently ran Night of the Ninja, which is a fun 80s role-playing game that only ever came out with a core book, but it's ninjas in the 1980s as spies and mercenaries. It actually predates Palladium's ninjas and super spies. But in that game, in addition to the standard attributes, it has an aggregate score. And it does a thing where you normally would test versus your attributes for different things. If you're going to lift heavy weight, you're going to test against strength, that kind of thing. But if it's something that might involve different attributes, or you're not sure what attribute applies, then you roll your aggregate score, which is basically you take all your attributes and divide them by 7. But you use that score because it's assumed you're using a variety of different attributes to do that task, so it has you roll in the aggregate, which I think is really smart when you think about it. And it also encourages you not to have dump stats, so that's kind of cool. Anyway, I think the skill discussion's interesting. I too kind of like systems that have the skills and as compared to levels. I think levels and classes work great for fantasy games. I'm not sure they work great for other genres. I've been rereading Dark Conspiracy, which is the same system basically as Twilight 2000 2.2 that we ran for your birthday game, or you ran for your birthday game that I played in. And I really like the skills in there because you have skills, and your skills are based like on your education level and different things. But the cool thing about your skills in that game are that, and actually I take that back, your skills may not be based on your education level. I think they are. I'd have to reread it. But the cool thing about the skills are that you have different ways to increase them. So you can increase your skills by actually doing the thing. You can increase your skills by closely observing other people doing them. Or you can increase your skills by somebody teaching you how to do it, receiving instruction. And depending which of those methods you use, they advance at different rates. So it's really an interesting system. I'm really enjoying rereading Dark Conspiracy and looking forward to hopefully playing it sometime in the future. So I will talk to you later, and keep up the great work.
Hey Jason, thanks for the call. There's a lot to parse out there. So I think first of all, I like the idea of skills being related to your professions. I think it's pretty cool, and it lends to the narrative element, right? You have a profession, say you're a hunter. Oh, well, you know how to make traps, right? So it's kind of lends itself to the narrative, but it's definitely not detailed. And when it comes to detail, I guess I kind of like it, and I will disagree with you somewhat that people aren't specialized. I think most people are specialized. I mean, if I make a Call of Cthulhu character, I have a high biology, I might have a moderate notice or spot hidden That's what it's called in Call of Cthulhu. But I definitely don't have high firearms. I probably have the default. I definitely don't have the electrical repair or the mechanical repair. I know some history. My history could be high, but it's not going to be. I'm going to be specialized. I'm a biologist. I'm going to have a high biology. So I think it might actually work as opposed to more general. And I guess in like a game like Twilight 2000, that's the most example I'm familiar with, where they have 4 skills per attribute linked to each attribute. Then they are broader, and they do have subspecialties, so you pay for talents to give you a bonus for a specialty. So, for example, tech covers electronics, communications, demolitions, even, and you just get a specialty in that. So maybe that's how they get to that specialty idea. But I honestly think most people are specialized, not Renaissance men. But your mileage may vary. I do like that game that you mentioned with the ninjas that you have this aggregate stat, which can be a catch-all for stats that, or for an ability check where multiple stats come into play. I I think that's kind of interesting, and I don't know how necessary it is. If the game doesn't have skills, well then definitely that totally works. If the game does have skills, I don't know how necessary that might be. As far as Dark Conspiracy and the GDW system goes, I really have a fondness recalling it that it worked really smoothly with regards to what you were talking about, learning by doing, how to gain experience, how to improve your character. And as far as education, that's like an attribute, so there's skills that are linked to that. And I believe it costs more to increase a skill if it's higher than your attribute. If you want to get it higher than your attribute, it costs more points, something like that. So that's kind of built in. But I do like how that system does it, and that's one of the older systems that I like and I enjoy, and hopefully can continue to play. So again, thank you for the call, Jason, and let's get into the prompts. Talking about skills would be a great topic for another podcast episode. But in this case, we're going to do the prompts for RPGaDay 2023, days 10, no, 9, I can't remember, 11 through 13. That's what it is, 11 through 13. So, day 11, the weirdest game that I've played. So the weirdest game I played was actually pretty recently. It was a fun pickup game run by Levi Combs of Planet X Games, and it was AD&D Second Edition using Planescape. There were like 9 players. Uh, the cool thing was he had everything ready to go. I played a ranger type, and it was really fun and weird in that we hopped around a lot of weird planes from Sigil, running a mission for one of the gangs, one of the factions there, and it was definitely more puzzle solving than combat, probably because of the number of players. But the puzzle solving was really fun. The planes that we jumped to were very evocative and weird, and Levi did a great job of describing them and the oddness of them all. And I feel like I was pretty happy because I did solve a way to get out of one of the planes. It was a plane full of birds that were sitting on perches, like those fountains. It was straight. No, it was birds. It was birds on perches, but also like this endless plain of birdhouses, right? Birdhouses on stilts. And we finally got to the center, and there was a fountain. There's one of these birds that was kind of a fountain that kind of dipping and getting water and dipping, and we figured out how to get out of there by having all our characters kind of mimic that motion, which I thought was pretty fun and very strange. So that was the weirdest game I've ever played, and I really enjoyed it, and it made me want to get Planescape, which I did. I feel like I used to have it, and I lost it somewhere, but I did the drive-through reprint thing, and I have a copy of Planescape. I remember fondly some adventures from Dungeon that took place out of Sigil. So it's a pretty neat system. I feel like they're redoing it for 5e, but I tacitly followed it, but I don't know if I need more 5e stuff, truth be told. So I just have so much of it, and it rarely gets to the table. So anyway, the next topic prompt is, what is the next topic prompt? That was day 11. So day 12, an old game you still play. Now this one was kind of challenging because I don't know. I want to play the old game, and I'm actually just reading this from my Discord. And at least my home group lets me run the Hyperborea, which is a retro clone of sort of 1E, 2E. However, I do have a Lost City game kind of going. It's on hiatus, so it's using BX nominally, but really, I guess I told the players OSR Basic, which is BX, and that one is on hiatus, so I don't know if that counts. But in any case, if that doesn't count, then the old game that I still play, that I played recently, is Twilight 2000, sort of second edition, 2.2, circa 1990 to 1993. I really enjoyed the game that I ran for my birthday, which is a couple weeks ago, and we're thinking about doing, well, I was thinking about doing, and hopefully I get players to do like a Dark Conspiracy 1968 or Dark Conspiracy 68 if the players finish the adventure and get to go home. Or maybe it'll become something even stranger and weirder. Jumping back to prompt for number 11, it might become like, man, you guys are like out in space, like lost in space. Depends on how they figure out how to get home, I guess, which would be kind of neat. Anyway, that is day 12. Now, day 13, the most memorable character demise. Now, this one goes back a couple years to ChupacabraCon, back when they had it at the Wingate by Wyndham in Round Rock. They fortunately moved it to the Embassy Suites in San Marcos, Texas. And it was a Delta Green game. I don't even remember the name of the game. The GM was amazing. I guess the narrator, keeper, handler was amazing. And, she ran a great game. And it was just, man, we just were losing characters left and right. And at the end, we knew we were way in over our heads. We had already compromised sort of the inconspicuousness of Delta Green, and we trapped the creature. We knew what the creature was attracted to. We were like at this construction site, and there was one of these, and we were able to siphon out some of the gasoline and set up like a jury rig fireball. The handler went along with it, and we kind of goaded the creature, some sort of, I don't know, not normal, unnatural creature kind of came at us, and one of us had to start the engine to spark it, and one of them had to light, the ignition, the light whatever we had stuck into the gas tank to get it to go. So we both had to do it, and we both died. We blew up. It got to us. It started attacking one of us, and we set it up, and it worked, and it blew up. And both our characters died, and I think we completed the mission, but we don't know. We honestly don't know. But that was an amazing demise. Another character had died earlier in that session. Like the creature had attacked him and just like tore off his arm, and he kind of burned up, or he tried to burn it too, and it escaped, and he ended up burning himself. Something crazy like that. But that was a very, I don't know, it was a TPK, but it was a successful TPK, and that was, to me, my most memorable character's demise. All right, well, those are the prompts for these next 3 days. This has been the Geomologist Presents. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you want to give some feedback. That would be great if you do. If you do want to give feedback, you can send me a voice message or a text message and deposit it at geomologist@gmail.com, or direct message me on the Discords. You can also leave a 90-second message through SpeakPipe. I have that linked in the show notes. And you can try to leave me a message on Spotify for Podcasters, the website. It was formerly called Anchor. So TJ Drennan does the intro and outro music. Thank you to my listeners. Thank you to my callers, Jason Connerly. My wife, Amy Lee, does the cover clip art. I hope you've enjoyed it. Good night and good rolling.